Alright, and now I'm going to try to use this type of audio. Since I don't run the camera or anything else, it's just recording my voice, and hopefully, unlike the other device that or not device, but app that I was using, hopefully this doesn't have a limit. If it does have a limit, then, well, I am fucked. And here we go. I've been away for a while because, Thanksgiving and all that crap. And I really do not remember what we were talking about last. I can say that today was a very productive day. I mean, not artistic. Hold on, I gotta sneeze. Oh, Jesus. Oh, jeez. Yeah, wow. Anyway, no, I did not draw anything today, although I did draw stuff for a little bit of a while, but I did end up in a live stream session with Cartoon Lion, who, in my opinion, is probably one of the coolest chicks in the world. It's unfortunate she'll never be able to hear this because she is deaf, but perhaps somebody can tell her that I think she is the coolest person in the world. Anyway, let's see. How I came to realize that she's freaking awesome is I first saw her at Equestria LA, which was a fun little gathering, and it was good. It was a good con for its size, good con for me to start out at, because I've never been to a con before. Unlike my family, my cousin, he goes to like Comic-Con, San Diego and shit, and Anime Expo, and just about every con. I mean, he lives in Vegas. The fucker is luckier than shit. You realize that he's like right next to Las Vegas' Unicon, and I'm not sure if he's gonna pop in and check the place out. I told him he should, because there will be video game people there for the pony side of video gaming. At least I'm assuming they're going to be there. I've heard rumors that people are going to be there. And so, yeah, he should go, but who knows if he'll actually show up or not. He's more of a traditional video gamer, and he has no real interest in the brony movement or fandom or whatever the hell we're calling ourselves. Which is another thing that I should probably fuck around with. But yeah, there's just it's just a lot of crazy shit. And anyway, I saw her at Equestria LA. Good times. I tried to muster up the courage to speak to her, but unfortunately I wasted all of my ability to speak to people by asking John Ozeko to do a little video for me, which he was nice enough to do. And so instead I kind of just sat there and acted like a goofball and just kind of listened into what other people were saying to her, and listening to her friend, I believe it's Ice Hawk or whatever, interpret, because like I said, she's deaf, she can't hear you, and so she has no idea what you're saying, especially if you're like me, mumbling to yourself, not looking at her in the eye or anything like that. I gotta fix this tire. This tire's freaking shaking the whole car. Makes it really hard to record audio when the whole car's vibrating. So anyway, and plus I have like a runny nose and shit. I think I'm catching a cold. My nose is all plugged up. So anyway, yeah, I saw her there, saw her art, went, holy shit, I know who you are. But I didn't actually say it out loud. I just sat there and glared at a Futashy picture and went, holy shit, that's Futashy. Then I looked at her and saw the CL on her name tag and went, CL, Cartoon Lion, holy shit. So, yeah, because I was a fan of the Futashy comics. They're funny, cute, and just well done, well drawn, well thought out for comedy's sake. I mean, that's one thing that I've noticed a lot of our artists have is a pretty good eye for comedy and comedy writing, whereas me, I have no eye for anything, apparently. I am a very shitty artist when it comes to everybody else. I mean, I'm better than, like, your average asshole who just picks up a pencil and starts scribbling lines. I mean, hell, I've seen other people come up behind me trying to be an artist, and I'm looking at their stuff going, wow, sure, looks like you guys should probably take up something else. But, I don't say that because that's what people should have said to me when I was first starting out. But luckily, Pixel Kitties and stuff looked at my shit and said, hey, that's pretty good, keep going. And I was like, oh, hey, yeah. So I kept going. And now I'm off topic again. Anyway, back to what I was saying. I saw her there, then later on I caught up with her on her blog, and, once again, just kind of lurking, checking out her art and everything, finding out her other little side blogs that have different types of art. And then suddenly the shutdown started, and, John Ozeco got hit, Princess Molestia got taken down, then it got brought back up because he has a legion of fans, something that I'll never have. But, deservedly so. I mean, his Celestia stuff, his Princess Celestia blog, is just pure genius. I mean, even on his off days, they're still really fun to look at. So anyway, yeah, back up. Then As Futushai got taken down, and that's when I was kind of went, I need to support Cartoon Line. So, of course we all band together and said, hey, we want that back, and boop, back it goes, it's up. And as a result, I started noticing more of her posts and things now that her blog was back, and thus accumulated to today's announcement that she was doing a live stream chat thing with drawing, and she's going to do some Futushai, well, not Futushai, but she's just going to do Fluttershy rarity pictures and stuff. So I was like, hey, cool, I want to come in and check that out. And so I went in today and sat down for a moment and watched her draw, and I have to say she is a very impressive, efficient artist. Like, I don't know if any of you have ever watched me draw, but when I draw stuff, it takes forever because I will draw massive, nasty, squiggly lines, very jagged, very rough. It just looks like shit. And then what I do is I go through and I try to draw a layer above that layer of clean cut lines using the squiggly, crappy lines as a guide. And then oftentimes that comes out pretty squiggly and crappy, and so then I have to go back through and erase all the rough edges that I made trying to make these clean lines. Whereas she has a steady hand, and I watched her work, and it seemed like almost like magic that she just kind of goes whoop, 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 and everything was perfect. It's that type of eye for detail, spatial awareness, I'd say, that I wish that I had. I mean, I used to have. I was pretty good back when I was younger, but I think as you get old, your brain deteriorates. It rots away. And I think mine has gone pretty far. I should have been doing this stuff back in my teens and 20s. I should not be picking it up in my mid-30s. It's just, I don't know. I mean, I'm going to do it anyway because fuck, I enjoy it. And some people like my stuff, so, why abandon something that you can do? I mean, it's like what Stephen King always says, if you can write a book, why aren't you writing a book? I could draw a picture, so why am I not drawing a picture? Although then I have to say, why am I not writing a book either? Because I've written some things and I've gotten positive feedback on those, so why not continue writing? So maybe I'll do that too. Either way, I don't know. I just guess I got to get motivated. I got to get everything back in line. I got to get a good paying job that will allow me to not be yelled at by my wife, who really just disagrees with everything that I am doing. Thinks of it as a waste of time. I mean, and it is kind of a time waster, I sit at a computer, get like a sore back and stuff from sitting there too long. It'll probably kill me. I'll probably get like freaking blood clots in my legs or some shit. I mean, I sit and drive all day. I'm sitting 80% of my life. You know that? I really need to find something else that has me up working, moving around, doing stuff. I used to do that. When I used to work at the horse stable, I was busting ass all the time. I was very fit and healthy. What the hell happened to my life? Now I feel like getting some pudding mix out and making pudding. But besides that, let's get back to, well, no, actually, that was pretty much it. Yeah, I fucking hung out and saw her do her art, talked to her about life and the universe and everything. And it was very enjoyable. She was very, very friendly, which to me it's just strange. I'm used to people just being assholes and dicks all the time. To have people like Cartoon Lion, Pixel Kitties, John Ozeko, just these really talented people that have the fame and built-in fan base and stuff. They have the ability to be assholes and get away with it, yet they're not. They're all really nice people. And I guess that's probably why they have such big fans. Actually, no, because for the most part, if you're just a fan of the work, you'll probably never really notice them. I mean, that's the weirdest thing now I think about it. Like John Ozeko, if you just hang out at his blog, like the Ask Princess Molestia thing, and just read that shit, you'll never know who he is. He's not Princess Molestia. Princess Molestia is her own entity. I mean, he plays the role of so many characters in his head. He writes down these stories for all these different characters, writes their dialogue, and makes them into separate entities that speak clearly and concisely, and each one of them is an individual. And that's incredible stuff. So yeah, reading his blogs means nothing about the person himself. He could still have been a dick if he wanted to, but he's not, of course. He's a really great guy. But the fact that people don't really know the man behind the character is kind of fascinating and weird in a way. I mean, I'd really like to actually see some sort of documentary done on these people in the fandom, especially like the writers and stuff, the mystery people, the people that create worlds and characters and personalities that we never really see. I mean, the musicians are the musicians. You see them a lot. They talk, they write, based on their lives and experiences and stuff. They're kind of more of an open book than the artists and the writers. I'm not trying to belittle the musicians, though. I mean, some of my best friends are the musicians. Tarby is one of my favorites, who I actually talk to on a regular basis. Well, not so regular that much anymore. I think he's kind of busy. But we used to talk. Well, either way. Still, I'm friends with most of the musicians, so they're all friendly people anyway. But the artists, it's just, you don't really see that much from them in the way of, in the way of like actually getting to know them as a person. I mean, let's take Cartoon Lion, for example. I actually assumed that Cartoon Lion was a guy up until I met her at EQLA. And I saw her at the booth and stuff. I mean, I heard rumors that she might be a girl or some shit like that, but I didn't know. And then to actually see her, I was like, oh wow, so it is a girl. And then I was going to try to talk to her, and that's when her friend said, yeah, she can't hear you, she's deaf. And I'm like, holy shit, that was something that I never knew either. And I don't think that many people know. And I mean, let's take Pixel Kitty. She's a pretty good friend of mine in a sense. I mean, I've talked to her since the beginning of the fandom. She was one of my first friends on Twitter that like supported my art drive, my whole drive to become an artist and stuff. her and Chef Sandy. But I mean, even Chef Sandy, I don't know all that much about. I mean, I know him from his show, but and a little bit because we talk privately every now and then, about life and whatever. But even him, I only know what I know from our chats. I've never actually seen the guy. Pixel Kitties, I believe she's married. I'm assuming she is. But that's just it. I've never asked her, and unless she mentions it from time to time or something, I've never really paid attention enough to notice. I think she's married, though. I think she said she is. It's either she's married or she's living with a guy or something. I know she has a guy there. But either way, she's a nice person. And I don't know, there's so many others. I mean, Egophiliac, she's an incredible artist, and she's more mysterious too. I mean, a lot of people thought she was a guy. I mean, just from her little avatar thing, people assumed she was a guy because her avatar thing had like a fedora hat and a tie on all the time. For some reason that said guy, but in fact she was a woman. Hell, my thing was that I made myself out to be a woman, and then I had to tell everybody, no, I'm actually a guy. Which I let that go for a long time because people feel more comfortable with women, so of course it made it easier to be friends with people if they assumed that I was just this female person and not some creepy old man. It sucks being a guy. I mean, it's nice being a guy, I enjoy being a guy, but it also it sucks being a guy at the same time as it is nice being a guy. I don't know. It's just that whole trust and mistrust issue. Either way, I don't know, what else should I talk about? I heard some rumor today that there's some shit going down with EQD. I am not that familiar with what's going on with EQD lately because unlike back in the first year when I was on EQD every day, reading every single thing that they posted, looking at every draw friend that they posted, I've tapered off greatly since then, and mainly because it's just too much. They post too many things way too rapidly. I just can't keep up. Now I go on there whenever somebody else says, hey, there's something you need to see, and I will pop in every now and then when there's been some wave in the fandom, like a new episode comes out, I'll check out EQD to see all the fan reactions and the art and stuff that comes out of that particular episode. But other than that, I kind of just let them be as they are and never really interact as much as I did. I mean, I used to interact a lot. I mean, I even had a bunch of people notice me from my comments on their site and follow me to my DeviantArt page and give me praise for things that I've said or give me shit for things I've said. It flows both ways. But yeah, I kind of miss those old days. I miss a lot of things from the past. I'm a very backwards looking guy, which is bad, I guess, but I don't know. I have this strong sense of nostalgia for everything. That's probably why it'll be hard for me to move on from this fandom, is because everything enjoyable has happened in this fandom. For the longest time of my life, I lived a very, I don't know, boring, quiet life with no friends really. Pretty much by myself with my wife and kids. And now all of a sudden I am a part of a fandom. I was part of a smaller fandom before I was into this show, the radio show, which actually led me to Bronies. I was listening to the Heidi and Frank show over here in Los Angeles. And they actually did a little brief thing on Bronies, basically making fun of them, going, oh, look at these freaky, weird men. They must be homosexuals, blah, blah, blah. And then everybody laughed, and I laughed. I thought, oh, yeah, These guys have to be gay. They're into My Little Pony. Oh, what a bunch of queer guys. Only gay guys would be that into something like that. Especially because they read like a letter that was posted about bronies, and then played like a little interview thing that was aired on some station somewhere. I can't even remember. It might have. I really should look that up because I might be mistaken, but it could have been Seth being interviewed by someone in Arizona or something. I think that's what it was. It's hard to say, but either way, it led me to the show. Well, actually, what it did is it led me to the internet, because then I had to go online and go, well, what the hell is a brony? What are they? Why are they so into this? Let's look online, since that's their domain. Let's see what's going on. That's when I learned, they came from 4chan, the whole brony thing, I learned the history pretty quick. This was in the summer of 2011, so I missed the first season. It was in July, so I was like a month or two after the season finale. So yeah, I didn't see any of that until then. Didn't know anything about them. What I did notice, and it was very lucky that I noticed this, but almost every page and every comment at the time was talking about cupcakes. Raging against it, talking about it, condemning it, praising it, saying, it is just this horrible, horrific thing. It's like, some people were stressing, I had post-traumatic stress disorder because of reading that. And so, of course, that piqued my interest. Being a fan of Stephen King and of other horror genres and stuff, I was like, really? Something that disturbing, huh? I guess I best read this. Thus, I dug up several copies, because people had tried to edit it, because there's a lot of errors and just little writing mistakes in it, because the guy who wrote it, Sergeant Sprinkles, I think he did it as just like a lark, a little joke, just goofing around, just trying to make something disturbing for fun. I don't think he meant for anything by it or any harm of it. I think it was just goofing around. So he didn't really take that great of care in writing it. It was just, hey, check this really gruesome story. So yeah, a lot of people tried to edit it and fix it up and whatnot. And so I looked for the cleanest, best version that was readable and still held the same, dark, disturbing motif of it. And so thus I read that, and I was like, wow, this is pretty well done for a shock horror piece. It's short, it was gory and gruesome. It actually had some really disturbing scenes that made me think, wow, bronies are not just little like pussy like weirdos. These are real people. These are real like men, that aren't afraid of getting a little crazy. They're not girly men. That was the thing. Which you have to understand. I have no issue with gay guys or anything like that. I mean, hell, Chef Sandy's gay. He's one of my good buddies online, and I have no issues with him. So when I talk about gay shit like that and stuff, it's more or less either referring to, like frilly gay, which Chef is not, as far as I'm concerned. I guess he could be a little frilly gay. I don't know. I should talk to him about that sometime. But anyway, back to the thing. It was a dark, interesting little story, and then there's other people writing other things to connect to it and stuff, trying to I don't know what they were trying to do. They were trying to either soften it up or redirect the darkness of it. But who cares? It was its own little thing, and it worked, and it was fun. And it brought other people into the fandom that probably wouldn't have been. And it also inspired people in weird ways. I mean, my buddy Tarby, he wasn't really a fan of that story from what I understand, yet it still allowed him to create something that ended up becoming a great piece of art, which is his little song of 21 minutes called Something Broke, which is still a really great piece of music and songwriting. And as a result of reading that, it made me decide, well, these characters can't really be anything like this story, right? So I had to actually go and find an episode to watch to find out just how far away from the source material this guy went. That's when I picked up season 1 off of I think it was off Demonoid, back when Demonoid still existed. They had like the whole season 1 there, and it was in HD, and so I pulled that and started watching. I watched from the beginning because that's just the type of person I am. I always watch for things from the beginning. Mainly because, even though they didn't really have a chronological story structure per se, I am the type of person that feels the need to watch things as the artists created them. So if they were aired in a certain order, I watch them in that order. Later on, if the artist decides to say, no, you should actually try watching them in this order, I will check that out in that order too. I'm fine with that, but the initial viewing, I want to see what everybody else saw. So I started watching from the first episode, and yeah, it was okay, and I was like, this isn't too bad. It's not making me cringe. And it moved along. They made the joke where Peaky's going to sing Giggle at the Ghosties or something, and everyone's like, oh, she's not really going to sing, and everyone's like, oh yeah, she is. And that made me laugh and made me respect the show, because they were poking fun at the concept of bursting into song randomly, which is, all too often something that happens in little kid shows, and it's usually mind-numbingly dumb songs, which, I don't know, they usually just don't work. They're crap. But in this case, even though the song itself was just, not anything big, the fact that they actually took the time to point out that they were about to do a song, and that it was just as what's the word? Basically, they were in the same position as I was. When the song was starting, they were like, oh God. And I was like, oh God, the song. And then the song goes, and after it's done, you actually felt a little better. It felt a little peppy and happy and stuff. So you're like, yeah, that wasn't that bad. They were all, yeah, that wasn't that bad too. And so thus you moved along. Stephen Magnet, the dragon, old serpent, whatever you want to call him. That was another little surprise gem that, when you first see it and he speaks, at first you're seeing it and you're thinking, oh God, this is corny little kid stuff. And then you start to pick up on the little nuances in the voice and stuff and the style that they're going for, and you're like, holy shit, this is totally being like a flamboyant gay guy having a freak out over something as unimportant as his mustache. I mean, it felt real. That's what it was. It felt right. It felt like something that you would see in the real world. And that made it funny, because it was basically lampooning reality in a way. It was picking out something and satiring it in a lighthearted way that made it funny yet really zingy. At least that's how I took it. I mean, maybe I'm just talking out of my ass. Maybe it's all bullshit, but I thought that it was very well done. The shadow bolts I thought were cool and everything, and I liked the whole conflict right there. That it felt good. Dashi coming to the situation where she had to come to terms with her never being a part of the Wonderbolts and being offered temptation, and then being able to turn away from it. I felt that was a really good little thing that they did. But ultimately, it was kind of a cop-out ending and stuff. I mean, it was okay. Didn't really feel that special though, but still, it was alright. Then you get into the actual meat of the show. I think the first one after the two-parter is Applebuck season, I think. If it is, that episode is probably what really caught my attention and made me this. No, wait, no, I think it's Applebuck is 4. I think the Ticketmaster, I think is 3. Either way, Ticketmaster, I don't know. That one set up a story arc at least, so that was kind of cool. But Applebuck, I think, is what really got my attention with the rest of the show. I mean, that episode was just great. I mean, just AJ just, like, you know, being out of her head and acting goofy and shit. That was just... Anyway, that was just fucking hilarious. And after that, I just had to watch the rest of it. So I watched the whole freaking show, from front to back, all the way through. And that was over the course of a week or so, I think. I think I watched like a couple episodes a day, maybe 4 episodes a day out of the 26. And let's see, since I was in July that I got the episodes, late July, I probably finished it a little bit before the end of August. And I think my wife found out that I was watching that show because I started naming the characters when we went shopping, and my daughter would see a pony and I'd say the name of the pony and she'd get all weirded out. And that was pretty much the beginning of the end of our sleeping together, because then she thought that I was a freak. But on the plus side, I did happen to find Bronyville, the Bronyville podcast with Apple Cider and Chef Sandy, and I caught them right when they were doing the big, what was it, 24-hour marathon thing, and they did like all of season 1. And you know, I popped in from time to time. I wasn't going to watch the whole thing; it was just too much. But I did happen to be there when they were doing the whole Magneto thing, and that was just amazing gold, beyond gold. I mean, the fact that happened was just unreal. And then to have that pony not just get created, I mean, people actually created a sculpture of Magneto Pony. Then We Love Fine, they put up a shirt of Magneto Pony. I mean, it's epic. It was the coolest thing I've ever seen happen within the fandom. Created by a guy doing a little podcast show in his spare time, and he got noticed. His little contribution got noticed, and that was when I knew that I needed to really be a part of this fandom, because if little people are being noticed, anybody could be noticed, and anyone could become a star. It's anyone's game. It was just a good feeling. And then season 2 was great. So many things happening in that season. God, it feels like so long ago now, but it wasn't really that long ago. Now that I think about it, it was just a year ago. So yeah, I'm going to be very, very nostalgic for a long time over this last year. My first year as a brony was probably the most amazing time of my life. I don't know, it was just something that will probably never happen again. And now that we're into the season 3, I mean, the second summer of love, as I'd like to call it, was not anywhere near as good as the first. That first summer, after season 1 was over, that was just an amazing time period. Everybody was coming into the fandom. Everybody was just loving on everybody. Everybody's artwork, everybody's music, everything was just so magical at the time. Season 2's summer was a little more angry, a lot more conflicting. people just weren't quite in that mode of love and tolerating that they were back in the original season. Which, oh well, shit happens. But now we're heading into season 3, and season 3's been good so far. I've enjoyed it immensely. I do worry about the end of it since it's only 13 episodes. That means that we're going to have a very, very early, ponyless summer. It might even be a ponyless spring. I don't know. They started late, so they'll probably finish roughly around the same time as they did last season. So, I don't know. And then again, maybe not, because I hear they're doing episode after episode each week, no breaks. And second season, they took a lot of breaks. They skipped weeks. And that was with 26 episodes, so who knows how this is going to work out. Plus, if there's a Discord episode, then, it'll be a good season. But they already did a two-parter to open. If they do a two-parter to close, that means we only have freaking, I don't know what, like 9 in-between episodes. So that would be like 10 weeks, 11 weeks, I think. I don't know. Anyway, it's just... Plus, I want longer ending. I want the two-parters not to be actual two-parters. I'd much rather that they just start doing like full-on like TV movies for the bookends. The opener should be like just a straight-up hour and a half episode. And then the ender for each season should be like an hour and a half episode, and the opener shouldn't be like a by itself thing where it's like, like with Discord. Discord was a great episode, but it should have been, I don't know, like an ender or something. The opener, I really think what they should do, and I think they did that with this one, even though most people probably don't realize it, is that it should be the setup for the entire story arc of the season. That way you have like a whole setup of events and things that are going to happen. You have like major characters being introduced in this episode that will play a part throughout the rest of the season and possibly end the season. That will be great. If King Sombra shows up again, if his influence is felt throughout the season 3, and then he shows up in the season closer as the main villain again, and they actually do have to take care of him this time, that will make it a much better season with a much more fulfilling, like, overall story when you pair the two together, when you pair the opener with the ender. Alright, well, either way, I'm at a gas station, and I'm supposed to be filling up my gas tank and then getting home so I could go to bed. I've been recording now for about 40 minutes. I will try to figure out how to use this recording, and since there's no video, I'll just have to throw like some pictures or something up. Who knows? I'll put it into whatever that program is I have. Fuck, what is it called? I'm trying to think. Not iMovie, but the other one. Final Cut. Yeah, I have Final Cut Pro. So I'll try to shove it in there and see what I can do with it. So either way, now that it's been almost 40 minutes, I will say goodbye. So, alright, I will talk to you guys later, and bye.